And it's Sunday, the 15th of July. Again, hope everybody had a great weekend. I need a sight and sound check, please. Hi, Gwen. No, I just try to give it a couple of seconds after. I do like to start on time, but I just wanted to make sure we were all good to go. All right, the recorder is on, and I have some slides this week. I think that'll help us stay on time. I'm going to have to finish at about 45 past the hour because we're going to go straight on into trading futures. So if you want to stick around and do that, that's fine. I've posted out the PDF of the week ahead. Let's see. I'll do it again. There's a PDF. These are the slides. And you have two different links that both lead to my blog, topgunfutures.net and top-gun-trading.com. And on there you will see various and sundry things like my trade list and some things about earnings and just basically odds and sods. There's obviously the hit and run candlesticks. You got my StockTwits handle, which I will post very regularly throughout the day, and my YouTube channel where you're going to see the videos. So with all that said, let's get started. I want to start with a disclaimer, and means this is all for educational purpose only, and anything that I say is not meant to be construed as financial advice or a recommendation for any stock or security. You should examine your own circumstances to determine the suitability of exercising any trading strategy before doing so, and I would strongly suggest and recommend that you use simulated trading first and get extremely comfortable with it before risking any of your capital. And it really goes without saying that trading involves the risk of loss of capital, especially if you're trying something new or you're a beginner. All right, a little bit of background about me because there'll be some people here that probably don't know. I'm an ex-USAF fighter pilot with master's degrees in both computers and business. An active trader since 1998. Back in the days when a monkey could throw a dart at a list of stocks and make money. Full-time trader since 2009. And I am a technical trader, but I do use limited fundamentals, like my Costco trade for a long-term hold. I just try to find this niche of something that I know a little bit about, with Raytheon and its company, United Technologies, and the like. I don't work for Hit and Run Candlesticks, although I am very, very pleased to be associated with this fine, august group of people, starting with Rick Sadler, Doug Campbell for Right Way Options, and Ed Carter with Trader Vision 2020. All right, and I do provide coaching if you want to do it. Talk to me about it, or it's a free consultation, no obligation. And I basically focus in on day trading of stocks, futures, some swing trades, earnings releases, that's after the fact, and gap trades. Those are my specialties. Let's get started. In the agenda is the economic calendar, earnings calendar, then the market overview. I'll go over some trade ideas that I've got. I think I got about 16 of them. We'll go over some Q&A, not stock specific. So when I first ask for questions, it's not about stocks. So don't jump the gun until I ask for them. And then finally, we'll look at your stocks, and then we'll go on to trading futures. Here's the economic calendar. You snooze, you lose. All right. Well, that's my motto. You show up on time. I'm not going back. CB, you have the YouTube address in the PDF if you download it. It's a bit.ly YouTube address. All right. There's the economic calendar. Not a lot on this week. Anything with a red dot is supposed to be market moving. You're welcome, CB. And then the greens are kind of secondary. There's basically three tiers. There's red, green, and black. And then the others, I guess there's four. But most of the greens don't really move the market, and not even all the reds. If you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. All right, here's the earnings calendar. Hopefully it's a little bit of an eye test, but that's why I gave you the slides for one. We've got a number of banks reporting this week. We've got Netflix after the, I say banks, I mean financials. Netflix after the bell on Monday. That's an important one. Before the bell on Tuesday, we've got Goldman Sachs and United Health. Those are two that I think are important. Not a lot on Tuesday after the bell that I look at. Morgan Stanley before the bell on Wednesday. Another U.S. bank. American Excuse afternoon on Wednesday. Fleabay. URI is United Rentals. Thursday. I'm looking at Philip Morris. Travelers. Then on Thursday after the close, Capital One, Micro Squish, Skyworks Solutions. Friday before the bell, we've got Baker Hughes, Honeywell, Slumberger, and Stanley Works. That's pretty much the biggies there. Hey Fred, how's it going? And I thought you guys might get a kick out of, they're beating expectations of the guy. If you can't see it, the name Expectations is on the back of his shirt there. So I thought that was funny as all get out. All right, we're going to do a market overview. I'm going to change slides. And the markets are doing quite well. And Calvin and Hobbes has said there's treasure everywhere to be found. And over here on the right-hand side is the bull is out there on the stage, and the bear is saying, now, and the director saying, not yet. All right, let's go over to the markets then. All right, I'm going to start with the U.S. dollar. U.S. dollar was rallying, and it looks like it's kind of given up a little bit here. I'm not sure exactly why, but we'll figure it out. I was under the impression we're going to hit 95 and a quarter to 95 and a half. We may still do that. Watch out for an intraday or 60-minute wobble. We still have stochastics RSI going higher. So to me, my bias is to the upside. Crude oil's down a quarter. Let me let the screen catch up here. We had a huge down day last week, and as on Wednesday, and the last couple of days, we're pretty much gone sideways. This, unless it can get going to the upside very quickly, this is basically consolidating for the next move down. And the next move down will be somewhere around $68, if it does that. The next move up would be up into the middle of the range around 73 and a half. All right, let's look at U.S. 10-year, kind of driving the dollar. Our interest rates are going down, and that's probably why the dollar is reversing. This is from last Friday. I have no idea what interest rates are doing yet because we're not trading. All right, we're going to go over to the equity markets in just a second, but I want to stop over here at the T2122. Someone had asked me whether the T2122 was available in other platforms, and I said no. But the 4-week new high, new low ratio is available. I believe I saw it on the NASDAQ website or on stockcharts.com. So they're available. You just have to go looking for them. They may have some sort of strange name. but it's basically a 1 month high, a 1 month low. The numerator and denominator coming up with a ratio. Now, the reason I wanted to point this out is that we had a pretty good rally on Friday. However, we only got up about 13 to 14 points in a percentage basis of stocks making a new high. You can see that as two ways. One, that means that there are a lot more that can participate to push it even higher. True. Or we've got a very few leaders that are by far leading us higher, which is why we went to this high here. I believe that we pushed to a high, and with the number of new high, new low ratio in the middle, we're set up to go higher. Okay, so those who are betting against this are probably going to regret it at some point. All right, here we go with the equity markets. This is the S&P 500, the ES, the E-minis, and we're setting a high here. Now, I'll go back to the 6-month chart. We are not to the January highs, but we are above the highs that we made in March, February, March, and then in June. So it's still looking pretty good. We are extended here, but man, we could stay extended longer than the shorts can stay solvent. I forgot to cover gold, but it goes without saying that the reason I forgot about gold is it ought to be forgotten about right now. I'll let you know when it's time to start paying attention. All right, looking at a 3-month chart on the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ was powering us higher last week on Thursday, kind of inched higher on Friday. This is an all-time high. We're attacking it again tonight. Russell, this is the one that led us up from back here from the lows and the sell-off. Then we did a big dip. This looks to me like that's a cup and a handle, and the stochastics RSI is about ready to curl up. So I suspect that we're going to make another attack at the all-time highs pretty darn soon. The Dow. The Dow is kind of trying to recover. Now, it's lagging along with the transports. Some people, I guess I'm kind of have a broken record here because I'm telling you the reason that the Dow is probably lagging is because if you go look at the components of the XLF, and the XLF's not doing very well, and it's not just banks, but it's banks and financials. They are, especially do it by a market cap basis, they're not doing very well at all. And they're holding it back. IJF, yes, in fact, I had IJF on, IJF. No. I'm trying to remember why. IJT. Yes, I remember that now. Okay. And it's basically, that is the S&P small cap, the 600. So it's the 600 smallest of the S&P 1000. So it's not the Russell 1000, but it's the S&P, and you're probably right. Yeah. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Terry. You got it. Transports. Let's go look at that. In fact, I had looked at IJT before. The transports recovered a little bit on Friday, but they just really can't get any mojo going. Early last week we got one good up day, got up to the 50 and rolled back down to the 200. I'm not enamored with moving averages, even the major ones. I will pay attention to them because some people do. The reason it stopped here was we got to price levels that were up before, and the volume at price was right here around 192. We came back down to about 187.75, which is the volume at price point of control for the transports. The transports and the financials are holding the Dow back. And the Dow only has 30 stock component, which is why I really try to ignore it. And when I get a disconnect between the Dow and the other indices, but they're all lined up except the Dow, I throw out the outlier. If it would be something like the NASDAQ that was the outlier, it would cause me a little bit of concern. Here's the XLK. Now, the XLK, we're doing quite well. SMH, not so well. Now, there's a number of things that are going on. Things like NVIDIA. NVIDIA is sold off, and that's because there's a glut of graphics cards out there that they've made. And they're going to have to go through that because the cryptocurrency mining craze has probably run its course. It's now waning, and so therefore the demand for those is down. And there were some people that I saw reports of one company was sending back 300,000 chips to NVIDIA. Anyway, let's move on. We did the TNX already. The VIX. The VIX is down there below, almost below 12. It dipped down there. And let's see what it is. Right now, there is no fear in the market. All right, let's move on over to some trade ideas. Let's see if that's where we're at. Okay, my trade ideas for today, tomorrow, are SVU, Super Value, AHT, SCP, VNO, Apache APE, I don't remember what APC is, NS, OII, Boot Barn Boot, Cars.com, EEP. I'm logged Fastenal. It reported last week Biden jumped up and is consolidating. I'm looking at Nike. I'm looking at Stryker, and RH is not Red Hat. That is Restoration Hardware. And if you want to follow over, in fact, what I should have done for you earlier, that right there is where the charts are located. And let me post over my YouTube channel. For those who are interested in going to sign up, it's right there. All right, so I should have copied that over earlier. I just totally spaced out on that one. I apologize. Well, let's go over to TC2000 and look at some of the trade ideas. Super Value did a nice good move up on Friday. It's been on my list for a while. As you saw, that came up, did a pullback, and every time it drops down to the 17 exponential, which is this magenta line, it tends to go to a higher high. We'll see if it continues to do that. It pulled back a little bit deeper this time. I should have actually been long this one on Friday, but I totally spaced out on it. Ashford Hospitality Trust, they're into hotels. If it gets over this 825 level, I think it goes back up to 860 to 875. Good balance of power, stochastics RSI curling up. SEP, Spectra Energy Partners. This one looks like if it can get over this 3640 to 3650 area, it's going to make a run for the high 30s, low 40s. So I'm going to keep my eye on that puppy. And that might be a really good options play for that. And nice balance of power kicking in the last few days, and the stochastics RSI is curling up from the bottom. We have a few REITs coming in with the interest rates pulling back from where they hit highs over 3%. You've seen they've done a run. Well, VNO is one of them, one of the stalwarts out there. It looks like if it can break above $74.50 or so. It could head to 76. Now that may not be enough in it for a reward to risk ratio, but so we'll have to take a look. Hey, thanks a lot, Al Z. Appreciate it. Apache. I knew Anadarko. I was just having a senior moment. Gee. Okay. Stochastic RSI says we may have a consolidation day or so. It could curl up from here. And if you look at it, it's done that the last few times from about this 37 level. So we'll see. And see if it gets up to the 49 level. So that's, what, $1.50? And if it only got to that and then failed, I'd take $1.50 per. Here's Anadarko APC. She's kind of curling up. And let's see. This one actually keeps dropping down to the 17, spurting to a new high. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do two things. I'm going to create a line here. Do it on the fly. Here, create a parallel line. And create my own channel. This right here, I'm lining up on the lows. I tried to line up the closing lows, or the bottom of the box, the candle. On the way up, I tried to extrapolate the top of the boxes. Now, I didn't quite do that. I've taken a little poetic license. I think this puppy goes to 76 or 77. That's why it's on the list. It may take a day or so to get up there. New Star Energy. You notice a theme here. Energy's picking up a little bit, even though the oil price was down. All right, this one broke the downtrend, and I think it goes back up to retest 26. Oh, Oceaneering, OII. Nice, good, solid move up, pull back. If we do a Fibonacci expansion real fast, and if I take it from the last move up to here, and take it to the bottom there. I do this a little bit different than Ed does. I think we get over to close to 31. Boot Barn. Let's get this back up. Boot Barn, on earnings back here, it powered up and then it kind of sold off. A little disappointed in that. It early last week or late Friday of last week. Yeah, Friday of last week on the 6th. It had a big, huge move up. It went from negative balance of power to slightly positive. It did a pullback. I would be looking for this thing. Let's see, there. I'd be looking for this to curl up and at least go to the $25 level. And then at that point, I would see what happens and see if it could go up to $25.50 to 26 or even higher. Next on the list is Cars.com. Whoa, what happened there? Okay. Cars.com is doing a 45-degree runner. It had a really good sharp move up here. I think it reported guidance or earnings early. One of the two. It's earnings related. And when I see earnings related moves like this, and they have high short interest, boom. They'll probably do a 30 to 45 degree run. EAP, you back off a little bit. That's one that has a void over here to the left, and a void is not a gap. The void here is where we had a waterfall, basically straight down, skydiver type. Once it gets over there and is solidly entrenched, it will move up. It may take earnings to do that. And on the earnings, it may gap up all the way up. So it may not come to fruition for us. Fastenal did a gap up on earnings, and now it's doing a 45-degree rudder. I am long some August calls here. I think the 5250s. And I'm going to see if we can get up to the 58 to 58.5. I'm also long MyGen via August calls. And this one, I thought was earnings. It turned out to be an analyst upgrade, so it may or may not. But it's got good balance of power here. And if it drops below about the midpoint on this, I'll probably just exit stage left. Let's see. I got to go to a monthly chart and show you what's out there back in 2015. If you don't believe stocks have memory, they do. I mean, that's only about 3 years ago, and less than. And that'll act as a magnet for it to get up to, but it'll also, you'll get into sellers when you get to there. All-time highs are back here in '09, I believe. No, the all-time highs were in the go-go 90s, but for now, I'll take 46 and a quarter. All right, let's go back to daily. And Nike gapped up on earnings, pulled back. It's really having trouble. It has indigestion here for that move, but I'm looking for a solid move up above 78, maybe 78 and a half to go back up and retest 80. Stryker looking really good, holding over the 174 level. The balance of power and the stochastics are not helping us at all. I mean, they're not really giving me any indication. We're just going sideways. So if I were to try to draw kind of a pop out of the box that Doug likes to draw, if I draw it in as 174 and in the top here, we keep poking our head up and we're grinding higher, and we're doing basically a wedge from the bottom. Whoops. Come on, baby. Okay. Enough. All right. We're kind of doing this move right up here. We are going higher and higher, and one could make a case that we're a rising wedge because the highs are roughly the same. They usually break out. It's just a matter of time. Now, they report on the 24th. That's 9 days away. Is it going to wait for that? Maybe. Could it run up into earnings? Maybe. Restoration Hardware is the last one. You can see here it broke the downtrend. I think it has a couple of levels to get through. A lot of people kind of gave up on this one because it pulled back below the gap up level. But if you look at the Fibonacci retracement, it was only about 50%. So the next level is probably anywhere from 151.5 to 155.50, and potentially all the way up to 165. So this could be if we have this sort of intraday dip or is the consolidation to the right, this could be one to get into. All right. I want to open it up for any general, non-stock specific questions you might have. We're looking pretty good for time. We got about 15 minutes. But I want to open it up for the general questions first. I have no idea, ZD. Why do I use the 17 EMA? That's a good question. Because it works. I backed into it a number of years ago. I've been using the 3 for a while, and I've used to use the 7 and the 9 back and forth. It really just didn't matter. Well, when I came to the room here, I was using that, and I had looked at the 20 simple, the 21 EMA, but I found the 17 works a little bit better because I wanted to be ahead of the game a little bit, and it just seems to work the best for me and my trading style. You may not like it, and it also works well in pretty much all the time frames that I look at and trade. You know, from a 5 minute up to the weekly charts. Now, I changed from that 7 to the 8 because I kept getting all kinds of questions in the hidden one candlesticks. Why are you using 7 over the 8? So I just went to the 8 because it's basically the same. That's me. I gave LH. I'm not going to go back over the stuff, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to post out the slides again. Mac meaning Bob S. Possibly. I mean, it all depends on what works for you. I mean, and really, I don't have any problems with people using different moving averages. Now, I use them not to trade. I use them to visualize the trend. So that's all. The 3 gives me a heads up that we might get a very short-term trend. That's okay, Joe. Good. And as long as it works for you, that's fantastic. The 8 or 7, they both gave me. When the 3 crosses through that, I'm getting into a protracted pullback. And when I get below the 17 in price and the 8 gets below the 17, it's getting more than just a protracted pullback. Although this slope, and I have to take it in context, the slope of this decline is very shallow. It's not very sharp. Let's see if we can get... You can see how this one came back. It came up, and then suddenly these rolled over. Well, I'm also a visual person. I could see without marking it up. I could see that we broke this upward trend line. We zoomed up. I've taken it on earnings, and then it moved. It pulled back. It tried to go back up, failed, made a lower high. Right here and right here, and it made a lower low from here, but it didn't make a lower low off of this here until we got over there. And then it basically, let's back off a little bit. Where did it pull back to? It pulled back to a prior resistance level, and it's basically somewhere right around here, $20.50. And I could say that it went back to about this 2081 because that was what it did on a closing basis, and then it dipped down the following day and started the reversal. Okay. I mean, it seems to work. And price is an area. Price is not a point. There's math involved in trading, but it's not a math problem. And it's basically an art. So this one, because it moved up, for me, Boot Barn moved up, pulled back, and now it needs to move up. It's done a higher low, and it now needs to do a higher high, or it will fail. It could actually not fail right away, because if it gets up to 2350 and then starts doing a trading range, that's the possibility as well. All right. Yeah, in fact, LH is correct. He thought 8 p.m. Eastern because that was what we were doing before. We've shifted it to an hour earlier because I want to get into the futures at 8 p.m. every night. So I do apologize if you did not get that message. It was sent out in a email blast. You may have ignored it because you knew what the time was, and I do apologize. But we'll be from 7 o'clock onwards from now on. Okay, that's... Richie, do you wait? Richie, I already answered that question. I don't I don't use moving average crossovers or unders for a trigger signal. I used to use them a little bit for trying to find candidates, but I found a couple of other scans to be a little bit more useful. That Rick and I developed a one for a J-hook and the J-hook pattern. And if you don't know what a J-hook pattern is, I'm going to draw it for you. The J-hook pattern is a move up, followed by a pullback, followed by a curl back up. And this right in here looks a lot like a J. All right, let me find... Cars could be considered a little bit of a J-hook there, although not as... This is the beginning of a J-hook at OII. And you'll see that a lot of these that I'm picking out are little J-hooks or mini J-hooks. SVU. Whoops. AHT is the possibility, because if it goes up, moved up here, move back. If it moves back up this direction, that's the J-hook. And I want to go long above that green line with my stop underneath there. Okay, that's not a J-hook really. Well, no. This is the beginning of a J-hook, VNO, a J-hook, just a channel, more of a channel break, J-hook, J-hook happening possibly. This was a J-hook back over here, but it's now kind of stopped. Nike, if it doesn't get moving this week, I'm probably going to take it off my list. Striker. And this is potentially a J-hook on, say, a 3-day or a 5-day. And how did I know that? Because I can just visualize that, this trend pullback was quite deep. So I'll try a multi-day, and I use my normals are to go to from 1 with this shallow pullback being so long, I could go to a 3 or to a 5. And I jump them back and forth in odd numbers, 1, 3, and 5. And sometimes what happens is it gives a little clarity to the trend. And that's what I want to look at as a trend. Look at the EMA only chart, where I have the 3, 8, and 17. I can take the exponential 3, take it and minimize it, and I only have the 8 and the 17. That pretty much tells me, the EMA only chart tells me whether I'm in a trend or not. And you're going to probably find I'm going to go over some other people's charts later if they're in a downtrend. Okay. Bob, Tennessee, I never traded futures. Should someone stick to stocks till they are extremely confident before trying to learn futures? More than likely. I have a specialized program, but you don't necessarily need it. I have basically a clone of the system, but futures, stocks, it doesn't really matter. They pretty much follow the patterns. And the biggest thing is that you can lose a lot of money really fast in futures if you make a mistake. It's because you're using leverage. But on the other hand, if you're on the correct side of the trade, you can make money faster. And you're not using options to do it. So I prefer to use futures rather than options. I can control my risk to anywhere between $150 to $200. It used to be $100. With the volatility up as high as it is right now, it's $150 to $200. But a $200 risk on a trade, and sometimes get as much as $400 to $500 on one trade, I'll take it. Terry V, do you look at Penn Action stocks in the same industry like SuperValue? If I'm looking for candidates and they don't pop up, I could do that. And Kroger has been on our list, but I just don't quite see the pattern there. It was there when that green arrow was there, but it kind of faded away. Nucor and U.S. Steel, right? They're probably going to follow the same. And let's look at the financials. C. J.P. Morgan, and someone tried to get into a urination contest with me on StockTwits, and I refused to even answer him when he said that I was a negative Ned and that he liked the banks throughout the rest of the year. And I went, that may happen, but the charts don't tell me that, or at least for right now. So I'm not going to try to say I know what's going on. Bobby wants to know, question on entry, after you get a bicycle, do you wait for positive trading the next day to occur? Always need confirmation with one exception. If you're doing an options trade, if you wait to get into your, with confirmation the next day here, you're going to pay up a big time premium and you're probably not going to make very much money. So what I did is at the end of the day, I jumped in on fast. I'm talking in the last 5 minutes of the day. MyGen, I jumped in on this up day. Now, I knew that I was taking it without confirmation yet. Fastenal is working. MyGen is not necessarily working so much, but I like where the balance of power is on MyGen, and I do like where the balance of power is on Fast. So I'm going to stay the course. And basically, I've got a short on XOM. There was a recommendation, and I got it here. And I don't see my stochastics RSI is pointing lower, but I'm down about 25% on the one contract that I've got, and my line in the sand is around 40 to 50%. If I get down more than that, I gotta exit. All right. Do you trade the open, Dana? I normally will wait 5 minutes if I can, but if it's on an earnings release day, I try to wait for 2 minutes and make it get a 2 minute high. If you look at, I think it was at J.P. Morgan, it gapped up. No, Citigroup. What bank? PNC. There was a bank that reported on Friday. Well, there was a stock that reported on Friday that gapped up and then crap. No, I don't think it was Goldman Sachs. Well, maybe it did. Let's try this then. Thank you. All right. Give me a free lesson here. Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much. Okay. That's at 4 o'clock on the close on Thursday. On Friday, well, it gave me 2 candles. I only wanted 1. It went up, opened up here almost 230, and went all the way down somewhere to 226 and closed at 227 and a half. What I will do, it wasn't on earnings, so I didn't necessarily have to be in a hurry. Anything in the middle of that is kind of no man's land, unless it goes down below and curls back up. I'm looking for a move up above this before I go long, or this one to curl up, and what I'm looking for when it does that is just probably a retest. Target 1 would be a retest of the body of that candle. Well, let's see what happens. It went lower. This one would probably come off my radar screen because it got below the close on Thursday, and it went lower. If anything, it was a short, and now it's doing a reversion to the mean bounce, meaning, no pun intended on that one, that there's the downtrend. It's going to do a retracement of anywhere between 1/3 and 1/2 of that move back up. Can it go all the way up and go back to the highs? Yes. Does that happen a lot? Not really. Let's see what happens here. It's getting about that 25 to 50% bounce. There's the 50% bounce. If I take a Fibonacci quadrant, if I just do the poor man's fibs, it's right there at a little bit more than 50. That being the high, that being the low. And let's see what happens. Okay, and it started to move up. So, and now I think it just bounces around on that same level. All right. Some people use 15 minutes. And the 15-minute chart, it got up to about that 3/4 level bounce and then stopped. Some people say, I don't trade the first half hour. That's amateur half hour. On earnings that are really good or whatever, what'll end up happening, not Bob yet. No, not yet. What you'll miss some of the big moves because they'll gap and go. Now let's go over to Fastenal a couple of days ago. Let's do a 5-minute chart. I think this is probably more important than our individual stocks. Hold on. Okay. It gapped up on the 11th, gapped up, came back down, and then it retested the high around 52.50, 52.40. And then it started to move up. In this case, you could have waited an hour before it went up. You could, but you were going to possibly make it break for people who want to do intraday trading. And I'm not saying you should, but if you want to do that, there's the 5-minute opening high, and you can wait for it to break out above that level. And if you had, you'd have gone from 52 to 54. Or when it appears to make a bottom, there's the doji, there's a move up, and an aggressive trade could go long here with the stop, say under 51, and risk about 50 cents. And you would have had to say my target 1 is an equal of this body high, and target 2 is a trailer. All right. Okay. Richie, you put up 3 symbols. I'm not sure if you were saying that because you want me to go over them or not, because I've run out of time. Apple possible long, maybe. Let's look at the daily real quick. I did say we'd only use one, so Richie, I'm going to take your first one. This is in no man's land. Let me do the quads real quick. Nothing. Up here, 207. Lows around 193.5. We're about halfway in the middle. I wouldn't trade it. It hasn't told me it wants to go up and go down. Now, that said, the EMAs, no, they're pretty much flat. I was about to say it was about to go up, but it isn't. Is NSH like NS? NS has broken the downtrend. You see how that green line is there? NSH is probably just at it. If it can follow through on Monday and go up above it, maybe. Now, New Star is kind of has a more gentle slope than NU did. Sorry. No, not NUE. NS. NS, its slope was a little bit WFC. That's telling me we're running out of time, ready to go to the futures. Okay, Bob S for HD, but you put 2 of them down there. Home Depot looks like it probably wants to go up here to 201 or so, but it's too late for me to go because it's balance of power is not very strong, and the stochastic RSI is up there at the top. So, and we get a little bit of a shooting star after about a 5-day up. Now, I'll go over Costco only because I'm long. I'm long the January 2020 $150 calls off the charts to the bottom. I paid around $47 for them. They're worth about $67 now. So about 50 55 to 57% for each contract. Okay, I'm going to do this as fast as I can, guys. AKRX, it's done. AKRX got up here to this 1950, 19 and a quarter. Now, I say it's done. Maybe, maybe not. You're now going to need it to get over 19 and a half. Because you've got all this stuff over here. It's got overhead resistance around 21. And in here around 1940. And I'd look at the weekly charts and you can see where that's occurring. 1950. It gets above 1950, it should run to the high 20s. So be patient. Keep it on your radar scope. But not now. I wouldn't go right now. TRHC. TRHC looks okay, a little on the thin side for me because it's 400. Some people use 250. I like to use about 500. I'll search on 485 so I don't miss one that's just a few thousand below. But this has been a nice steady Freddy for quite some time. You could give it a shot. Golfer Bill wants to look at LC Long Lending Club. Yeah, let's look at the area chart. Okay, and let's look at the weekly. If it holds this 440, 450 level, it could go up to 5.5. Yes, I don't normally look at stocks below $5. But I can see where that is. It's got good volume. It's got a decent pattern. Balance of power is not all that great. And this is basically your consolidation zone right here. I don't know what happened on Friday where it got all the way down to 419. The market sold off and it sold off with it. Okay. We did Apple, I think. Yeah, Apple's looking a little on the toppy side, but Apple tends to run into announcements. So whether it's going to happen now or whether it's going to happen in August, September when their release is going to be, buy the rumor, sell the news in Apple. Core. Looking. Be patient. Get a Apple. We had Apple and then Core. Apple Core. Okay, I love it. We got to the bottoms of these back in January about and there's some resistance here. Make it break probably 24.50, and then you could run to either 26, and then the big one's going to be around 27. The symbol. I'm surprised that Intelsat's still out there. I thought it died long ago. Kind of hard to buy it up here. The balance of power has gone red. So it's not helping us any. Area chart. We're all-time highs, really. Oh, no, we're not. We're approaching back to the highs back in the 2013 era. That one's pretty. It's in rarefied air up there. So I don't know. The biggie that I'm seeing right here, almost 7% per day, $1.42. So it's not going to be for the faint of heart. It does move. I'd like to see a consolidation or a pullback. And Clorox, a lot of defensive stocks. I could see Clorox maybe above 135. Yeah. Right now, because it did a pullback and did a hammer. If you didn't get in from 133, you've got to let it break out and play the breakout. The problem with playing the breakouts, we haven't got an awful lot of follow through in the last 3 months. Don't pray. Don't post anymore. ITA, long, Tom D, yes, possibly up to 204, but guess what? We're about 2/3 of the way up already. The ideal situation would have been to buy around 195. BOP is changed from red to neutral. Stochastics RSI is not helping, so you've got to think that the defense stocks have sold off too deeply and go. Consolidation or a pullback would be the best way to try to get in there, but I do like ITA as a trading vehicle for that. Okay, Robin, thank you. Richie, were you late? I didn't go over the SPX. I went over the E-minis futures. I don't even look at the S&P cash. We're powering higher. I don't see. I'm seeing a grind higher here. Now I also went over the T2122 4-week 4 high week. New high, new low ratio. I think this is telling us we could go higher because it's not way overbought. We pulled back. The number went for the pullback zone, down to the bounce zone, went back up to the pullback zone, and went to the middle. Could we do a zigzag lower? Yes. But that's not what I'm expecting. We're in earnings season. All right. Thanks, Robin. I needed my Ed, Mr. Ed Carter. James, I probably scan for just one, my J-hook scan to start with. And then if I don't see him or if we're in negative, I'll go to the rounded bottom breakout for the second to the positive side, or an inverted J-hook, or the inverted rounded bottom breakout to the negative side. I usually have more than enough stocks to go over. I really don't try to get more than 10 or 15 to put on the watch list, and it gets on the morning of the trading, it will go down to probably about 5 that were in my top tier, and probably only about 2 or 3 that I watch. Buy low, sell high. Sorry. Let's see. NS is a rounded bottom breakout. And the way you play it is you play patterns within patterns. RBB is just a scan to try to find candidates that have a lot of room up to the 200. And that's the same as a scan that used the moving average crossover. So the 8 and 17, something like that. Or better yet, I don't want to that late. I'll do a 3 crossing the 8. And then when I see those, then I start to get interested, because this one changed to an uptrend and it went up to this level. And then I start using my standard patterns and my standard trading techniques. I don't blindly trade a rounded bottom breakout. I use it as to nominate the candidates. Double EP is a rounded bottom breakout, and when it breaks out here, the target level would be notionally the 200, which is about 12, but it could be only as low as this 12 and a quarter level. That is also the bottom here, because it'll be the declining 200. I don't think that the 200 will necessarily stop it. It might. It might cause it to pause. But it's not going to make it stop dead in its tracks. Okay. So I've gone beyond the 8 o'clock. I looked at the markets and they weren't doing so well, so we're not missing anything. All right. I want to thank everybody for showing up tonight. Look at the market ahead. We went into your stocks. I want to point out that there's a 30-day trial for only $14 each. Hit and run candlesticks, right way options. And I will say that Doug Campbell is probably one of the best options traders that I have ever seen. And I've been doing this for 20-something years. All right, we'll see you guys at 7 p.m. next Sunday. If you want to stick around, we could just be sitting here all night and trade not once. I am not going to force it, but when the Asian markets open at 8:30, 9, and 9:30, we could get some movement, and I usually look for one trade and get around $150. If you want to stay around, that's fine. I will record or go over any trades that I have and post them on the website. Again, futures trading here in the room. There's my YouTube channel again. Go on over there and sign up and you'll get a notification. The live trading room is here. You might want to just no password required now. We start at 9:25 a.m. every day. At some point along the way, we're probably going to charge. But right now, it's free. And this little thing down here on the bottom was a short that I traded. I think it may have been a nighttime trade or an afternoon trade. One contract, $470. Got a runner. And just walked it on down. We try to take very, very conservative trades. One contract, risking no more than $150 to $200 per trade. And when we lose three in a row or over our limit for the day, 400 or so, 350 to 400, we quit. If obviously we're not in sync with the market. So we try not to sit there and revenge trade. Anyway, I will stop the recorder and I will render this and post it up if you guys want to look at it. And oh, by the way, at 8:45 I do for our members, I do a pre-market review. I also record that and post it up on the YouTube channel, so you will be able to see that. That probably won't come out till probably just before the market opens though, so I do apologize, but that's the best we can do. All right, you guys take care and have a wonderful trading week.